Morning. Ted Pulsper with MarketCube. We're thrilled to be sponsoring the next breakout session. MarketCube is a global provider of sample and research and software solutions around the world, and we're pleased to say we've been at each and every SampleCon and look forward to attending every one in the future. Thank you very much. So with that, I'd like to welcome up Dyna Boen of Survata and her panel of Constellation brands to speak about network activation in off-premise environments.
Oh, thank you. All right, so Ted, where'd you go? Come here. So it's highly appropriate that Ted actually introduce us because today we are talking about alcohol delivery services. That's part of our content. And you may or may not know that Ted is a sommelier, otherwise known as a cork dork. But he actually does alcohol delivery service. He delivers the wine to your table, right? So anyway, I was really excited to see Ted was introducing us. Okay, so can we put up the first slide? Oh, I have to do that. Sorry, it's me. All right, so today we are going to be talking about on-network activation for off-premise insights. And just to give a little bit of background on what that's about is Survata is a publisher network. So when we talk about on-network, we're talking about our publisher network. And when we talk about activation for off-premise insights, there's two types of, in the world of selling alcohol, there's two types of ways that you sell alcohol. There's on-premise, which is in a restaurant or a location where you're purchasing alcohol. And there's off-premise, which is more like when you're at home purchasing alcohol for your home. And so just a little bit of background on Survata. So some of you may not know Survata. I thought I would just do an introduction. And what makes Survata unique? So Survata is a technology platform. We talk about ourselves as a brand intelligence platform. And this is the platform that powers the case study that we're going to share with you on the work we're doing with Constellation brands. So the first thing is that we have a publisher network. And that is different than a panel. So we're at SampleCon. And most of the companies here are talking about panel and sample. And we have a publisher network. We don't have a panel at all. And so our sample is all very dynamic, and we're all about reaching fresh survey takers, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we do that. And then the second piece is our survey platform. So you guys are all familiar with online survey platforms. We have one too. In and of itself, it's not that unique. It's everything you would expect from an online survey platform. It's easy to use. You can download your data. There's real-time reporting. The one thing that makes it different than others is that it is integrated with that publisher network. And so people who use our platform can directly access our publisher network. And then the third thing that is different about Survata is that we have DSP integrations. So I'll just show of hands. Who is familiar with a DSP? Craig Stevens, a couple of you out there. So DSPs are something that you talk a lot about in the MarTech world, but not something we talk a lot about in market research. And the world is changing. And market research and MarTech are becoming closer together. And this is how we are interacting with that world at Survata. Everything that we can do on our publisher network, we can actually push audiences into a DSP. So we'll talk more about that today as well. All right. And just to introduce my team here. So one of the things, I guess, the only thing I love about my job, right? There's really two things I love about my job and my career. And that is working with great clients. I absolutely love my clients, and I'm super passionate about helping them solve problems. And the other thing that I love is the team of people that I work with at Survata. And so today, this is all about getting to talk about the two things I love together on stage with you guys. So I would like to introduce Alyssa Rushing. She is from Constellation Brands, and she's in Consumer Insights there. And then next, I'd like to introduce Katie Harper. Katie is in charge of operations. We call her the czar at Survata. And she is the one that actually keeps the trains running on time when I'm out and about doing things like this. And then I would also like to introduce Sahota. And Jazz is the secret sauce. She single-handedly built the publisher network at Survata. So she knows all about working with publishers and inking those deals and making that thing come to life. and so that's Jess. And then Sam Courtain is in charge of product management for market research at Survata. So she's the one that takes the technology and builds the products around it, and we can go to her with our market research ideas, and she technologically brings it to life with our development team. And she knows how to kind of get things done, get bugs fixed, and get that team to do things that we want to have happen. So that is the team, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jazz, who's going to talk more about the Publisher Network.
So our Publisher Network is representative of where consumers spend their time online. Across a variety of categories, apps and websites that span categories such as design, gaming, and lifestyle. Essentially, anywhere consumers spend their time online, we can reach them. Because we're plugged into these thousands of sites, it really allows us to reach millions of consumers across the US. How we're able to actually reach these consumers is with our survey wall, which lives on each of these publisher websites. We have custom integrations with each of our publishers where a respondent can unlock something of value, like an ebook, free Wi-Fi, an article, even a video, in exchange for answering a few survey questions. The advantage to this approach is there isn't a need for the respondent to take the survey multiple times. You don't need to unlock these items more than once. Once you have the ebook, you have it. So there's no way or no reason for a respondent to stockpile that incentive like they might with points or gift cards. What our publishers get out of this is a monetization option and a revenue stream that pays a lot more than standard display ads. What we get out of it is a long-lasting partnership and access to fresh, large sample whenever we need it. A little bit more onto the scale of our network. So our survey wall allows us to find target respondents of any age and demographic using the scale and power of the internet, where a typical panel might be able to reach anywhere between 2 to 10 million unique individuals. We can reach 250 million unique devices, 100 million of those being unique mobile devices. This scale is really important for our ad measurement campaigns because we're tracking and trying to measure really large ad campaigns for those particular clients. But how it relates to and is advantageous to market research is we're able to reach 83 million unique individuals across the US. Now I want to dive into how the unlocking experience looks like from the respondent's point of view. So to set it up, just imagine you're at an airport, you want to access free Wi-Fi and you don't want to pay for it. You can instead choose to take a survey, answer a few questions, kind of give your thoughts and opinions. I agree, that's a terrible color. And now you're granted with your free Wi-Fi. I'll hand it over to Alyssa now to talk a little bit more about business objectives.
Thank you. All right, so who here has used a delivery service for food or groceries? Okay, and who here has ordered alcohol through a delivery service? Okay, so there's less of you. Is it one of the biggest things that we at Constellation Brands are trying to understand right now is the customer's awareness and usage level with delivery services. And it's a huge opportunity to gain these consumers and really tackle that, that new avenue to get your either alcohol or groceries through this new service rather than going to a typical brick and mortar. So we are partnering with Survata to better understand these consumers, and I'll turn it over to Katie to explain that.
Awesome. So when we were looking at taking a deeper look into the business objective that Constellation Brands had laid out for us, we ran a survey, obviously. So 17 questions, 1,500 respondents. We were screening on a couple of different things, so ages 21 plus, and whether or not they had had a drink in the past 3 months, because we were looking to screen out those who did not drink at all, in case they may not be interested later in alcohol delivery services. One of the first things we asked in the survey was which of the following brands, delivery brands specifically, alcohol delivery brands specifically, people were aware of. So this is the output of that specific question. You can see that Grubhub has an awareness of 37%, with Uber Eats and Amazon Prime Now following behind. However, this could be that they just knew of the brand, not specifically that it delivered alcohol. One of the most interesting points in this particular graph, though, is about 50% of people said that they were not aware of any of these brands. So we're already seeing that awareness is one of the main issues we're going to run into when looking closer at these respondents. So we asked then, how people had purchased alcohol in the past 12 months, multi-select. Those who had said that they had used alcohol delivery services were routed to a few special questions. Of that audience, only 2% actually had used an alcohol delivery service. So pretty low IR audience to begin with. Of those that people had said they used, 50% had ordered from Amazon Prime Now previously. And then ranking the options that they had used, 32% of people had picked Amazon Prime Now as their top choice. So a fairly good market share there for Amazon Prime Now. Free response question asking what was the top reason that people had used an alcohol delivery service in general. Most people picked convenience, that nice big blue convenience there. Quick anecdote, I am in the 2% who have used alcohol delivery services. So when Survata was first starting, I was number 8. And one of the trends of adding a new employee to the company was that we used minibar. And every time someone started at the company, a current employee would refer a new employee, and we would each get $10 off. So the new free $20 was what Jim, our CTO, deemed a free bottle of Bullet. So that minibar was one of our favorites. Now looking at people who have not used an alcohol delivery service, 98%, overwhelming majority. We then wanted to deeper dive into why people had not used a delivery service. Multi-select. There's 3 big reasons that come forward here. First one, people don't drink often enough to merit using that type of service. So again, we were screening on whether or not they had taken a drink in the past 3 months at all. But that still may not mean that people are drinking enough to want to have some sort of alcohol delivered to their party, event, home, that type of thing. So that was about a third of the people who said that that was the reason for theirs. Beyond that, 33% said that they preferred to buy in a store. So when we were asking up front where people had purchased alcohol in the past 12 months, 58% of people said that they typically purchased in a liquor store. Second highest reason was typically purchasing in a grocery store. So these are people who typically go to a physical store and have all the options laid out in front of them. And they're able to physically pick up the bottle that they may want to buy. They're able to ask whether or not this might be a good choice for them from someone who works in the store. They're used to having all those options laid out. Now, so for some of the alcohol delivery services, they can have all the options laid out. So something like a minibar does have all the alcohol, all the pictures, all the little descriptions, but still some people might feel more comfortable going to an actual store to pick out their selection. But the most interesting point from this particular graph is that a third of people said that they were not even aware that this was an option. So there again, the interest of awareness is really coming forward as we're looking at this data set and how we can help Constellation brands approach this problem. So thinking forward, not too far forward, thinking forward to how Constellation brands wants to take our findings and apply them to moving forward in the industry. Picking out people who are likely to use alcohol services. If we were to create an ad campaign, hopefully targeting and trying to raise awareness overall of alcohol delivery services, where would we begin? So from the study you can see we're really trying to target alcohol drinkers, of course. Awareness was lowest among beer and spirit drinkers in particular, so we could start there. That may be due to wine clubs that are out there, wine delivery services, so trying to target beer and spirit drinkers first. Next, people who have 1+ drink per week. So again, that third of people said that they don't drink very often enough to merit something like this. We're going to want to target people who drink a little bit more, starting with 1+ drink per week. And then people who are going to use alcohol services or alcohol delivery services are likely to have a little bit of extra income. It usually takes a couple dollars to have delivery services sent out, a couple dollars to tip the driver. So these are people willing to spend a little bit more money to have the convenience factor added in. Now, creating this marketing campaign, this all seems easy. It's not actually as easy as it looks, and I'm going to have Sam walk us through some of the challenges.
So this is where I get overly excited because we get to help solve a problem, which is my favorite thing to do. How often have you seen studies like this where the results are delivered to a team and not much happens? That information is in a PowerPoint, it is emailed around, but what really is happening? You don't want your work to go and sit on a shelf. So Survata has come up with a solution to help solve this, and we will get into that shortly. So first off, currently, when that slide deck goes out, what is likely to happen is this list of traits is going to be handed off to a young person sitting in New York who logs into a service such as this. And they're going to try their best to keyword match against that persona that was identified. So as we talked a lot about age. We're gonna start there. No point, I think it's even illegal to target to younger than 21. So we really wanna make sure we're capturing that. The next thing is, well, okay, let's check out if there's beer. Is there any segments of people, this data is coming from loyalty card programs and things like that. So maybe we can find people that we know have purchased beer. I went into this service. This is one of the largest DMPs out there, and there is no beer segments. There is no liquor segments. So right away, we're like, okay. And the best I could do was interest in wine based off of whether they got subscriptions to magazines and things like that. So already we're seeing that this is inadequate to who we really want to be targeting and market. And then, at that point, we're like, okay, our segment's not large enough. We need more people. So we add in other layers of, have you used delivery service before? Because those are words that we saw in that previous presentation, things like Uber Eats and Amazon Prime Now. So this is what someone might come up with. This is sort of the best they could do in creating that persona that so much research was done on. It's really rather disappointing, but it is what is currently passing as actionable. Fortunately, Survata has a solution for you. Survata has come out with custom audiences. This is a way to actually use the data that is collected from a survey to directly feed into an audience that goes into that targeting for marketing campaigns. You can test pre-messaging. Some of the really big benefits here is improved handoffs between those teams. You don't want to let that very rich data just fall. Right now, it's really just getting left behind. We're sacrificing for people that have subscribed to a wine magazine and have used Grubhub, which isn't horrible, but that's a huge sacrifice that's being made. So as well, we're increasing targeting accuracy. We're really reaching those people that we want to reach. And then as well, you just get to test your messages against this audience. Rather, you are working with the audience of the people you want to reach, and this is really exciting. So Jazz will now give us a little bit more information on how Survata is accomplishing this in our tool.
So you heard about the disconnect between the research and media buying teams. What's unique about Survata is that we can bridge that gap by creating a custom audience based on the respondent level data of the original surveys that brands ran. So we're able to close that loop between who brands want to reach and actually reaching them. The first step is a brand would run some type of study where they would define a specific audience that they want to further reach. Then Survata can build a model based on those individuals and create a larger custom audience that can be pushed to any media platform and set live across any media plan. And what brands can then do is test specific messaging to each of these custom audiences to see what actually resonates with the user. Survata can then, in parallel, as brands are targeting this custom audience, survey respondents who have been, one, exposed to the ad, and also, first, surveying people who have been exposed to the ad to make sure that the messaging actually resonates with them. Has there been brand lift, an increase in awareness, increase in purchase intent? And then secondarily, we can continue to measure respondents within those segments, within those custom audiences, to make sure that we're actually still reaching the right people that we want to reach. So this self-sustaining loop allows for real-time optimizations and less waste in media buying. Brands are able to test the messaging, make sure that their messaging makes sense, and make sure that they're reaching the right audience every single time. So in that way, Survata is able to tie together the work that's being done by both the research and media buying teams to ensure that brands are actually having an effective overall marketing strategy. And I'll hand it back to Alyssa.
Great. So really, we're trying to understand this space, and it's going to be an invaluable solution for consumers as they continue to be convenience-driven and less time to be going to a traditional brick and mortar. So trying to persuade these consumers to switch over to this space in delivery with alcohol is a huge benefit for our company. And from these findings, we're also going to be able to understand better that role and that opportunity for alcohol in delivery occasions. And we also really understand that over half of consumers are going to be expected to increase their usage of these delivery services, which is why this is a huge opportunity to take an early step. And after taking this custom audience that Survata is able to understand for us, we are able to leverage this into an actionable insight at our company. And one opportunity that we're thinking of doing is with Valentine's Day coming up, we're going to be using our Ruffino Sparkling to put that on the front page of a delivery service so we can tackle that consumer that's going to be ordering that for a Valentine's Day occasion. So, thank you.
That's everything. So we have about 15 minutes for questions if anyone would like to better understand some of the technology or what we're doing with Constellation Brands. Ted.
So the sample of 1,500, and I apologize if I missed that, but I would assume that would be an urban-based sample, right? Like, aren't these delivery services much more common in New York than they are in Des Moines?
More common for sure, but it doesn't mean that.
You just use a national base.
We did national base for this one because Amazon Prime could deliver more places than just in urban.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they can pretty much deliver alcohol in all states where it's legal?
No,
States
yeah.
specifically, yeah. Not every
Yeah,
state,
it
but
has
it's
to
most
abide by
states.
the laws of
Yeah.
each state.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Christy?
Building on the geography, sort of theme here, do you take that into account for things like maybe bad weather areas, where people might be more willing to order, especially if there's going to be a snowmageddon coming their way, ordering online versus trying to get out into the mad rush of people getting to brick and mortar? Or do you take into account things like Austin as a drinking city? It's a lot of what we spend our time doing here. Just kind of curious, how you play geography.
Yeah, I think both would be super interesting cuts. For the sample size of people who had used delivery services, honestly not big enough at this point to really make those types of cuts, but it would be interesting for future stuff.
And definitely with our technology, we are allowed to dig into that specific segment and then create an audience off of that to market towards your Austin base or whatever geographic location.
How does Constellation Brands think about that as you think about regions and separate from the market research and targeting? I mean, we can do IP targeting and all that, but zip code. But for you guys, as you look at your business, how do you think about it?
I mean, we definitely take into account whether it's an urban area or if it's more rural. Obviously, in an urban setting, you're going to have a much larger population ordering through delivery just due to logistics being easier. So we take that into account, trying to target those regions first and try to capture consumers in those markets.
So you said that you did a survey amongst like a nationally represented population. What about the states where it is not legal to deliver alcohol? Did you still survey those states as well?
We did, just to look at awareness.
Yeah, the only thing, I mean, we really kept out people under 21 because we actually have to actively keep out, because if we do not rep on our panel, it's 13-year-olds because we have a lot of mobile apps and things like that. So we had to actively make sure we only had those 21-year-olds in there.
How many states is it legal for the delivery right now?
I think it depends on the type of service you use. And then still with the availability differs in every single state as well.
I think there's a broader issue right now, which is just general awareness that this is even, I mean, almost sort of just everybody I talk to doesn't realize, oh, I can order wine when I get Grubhub or Uber Eats or DoorDash. It's like there's just a general awareness, and then absolutely there needs to be a consideration from a business standpoint of state, right, in terms of where they're targeting and where it's available. But just overall, most people don't even know that it's possible.
And there's a lot of variances as far as what is legal and what is not. It varies by state. You can go to Napa in some states, you can't have wine delivered to your state. But then you can have alcohol delivered through groceries, from a grocery store. So it varies a lot on what is possible, and trying to navigate that is obviously important.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about so in terms of partnering opportunities, the breadth and depth of your panel. So for example, can you cut it across demographic lines? Can you cut it across age? Can you cut it across income? Like, what kind of stratifications can you do?
Yes, yeah. I mean, do you want to talk about that, Katie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to jump in. I mean, so that survey we ran for 1,500 respondents finished in a day. So we have a lot of speed, a lot of ease. We can get people anywhere. It's hard to say like what the specific number of people is because it's the number of people running across one of our publisher integrations at that moment.
Does it skew a certain way, you think?
We try hard to keep it not skewed. So
Do you
we,
have controls over that? You can still control
yeah.
that?
Yep, we're able to sometimes turn up or turn down traffic in certain publishers if we think that we're skewing too female, skewing too male, or too old or too young. We do have controls that we can put into place.
As well as just putting in smart integrations, making sure we're reaching those people that we're not, if we're low on a certain demographic, getting into a place where they're gonna be on the internet.
Right, because a lot of what's going on in our business now is kind of trying to reach a certain niche. The general population is whatever, It's trying to get to a certain segment of people. Like, I use that stuff, mini bar and Grizzly. And the way it works is, I live in Manhattan, the way it works is that it's a liquor store 2 blocks from my house, but I don't want to go there. Like, I have kids at home, like, so it's,
You said kids at home, so you really need alcohol. That's why we drink alcohol. We have kids at home.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's play 2 hours. So the guy delivers it, and there's a charge for that. And sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? But I don't want to walk there. It's free.
It's a
too,
convenience,
so I
yeah.
don't do it. So that's kind of I think, where this is going. But what I'm trying to figure out is how we can get this data to clients, because they're going to ask for niche. They're going to see, like, how do I target this, let's say, African Americans or whatever, Latinos. Like, how do I, or women, like, how do I, so to that extent, do you have that kind of breadth?
Yeah, in general on our network, so every study that we do, we have stated information on age and gender, and then we can do other, if you want to do ethnicity, or if you want to do income, it's not something that is included, but it's something that we can absolutely add on.
That's going to be crucial.
we can, just as one of the slides I showed broke down a DMP and some of the ways that you can buy those audiences, you can actually go in and buy those audiences, send them to us, and we will target that audience with a survey. So we can get to that very niche audience.
Yeah, I mean, in general, we'll create seed audiences from like a typing tool, right? So you take the typing tool and you put it into the survey. We create the seed audience. We model that, and then across our entire network, find all the people that match that seed. So we're finding the exact target audience that brands are wanting to reach, whether it's for alcohol or another product.
Well, it helps when publishers are self-segmenting anyway. So if I read Sports Illustrated, I might not get separate reasons.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Kind of.
Craig, you had a question?
Yeah, just I think it's very cool that you're able to do kind of traditional research and get the insight learning from that, but then also put it into the network and put it out there in production, so to speak, and see how it performs out in the wild and then optimize there. I think that's really cool. And then go to scale to your entire network. I guess a question for Alyssa, do you then take that optimized look-alike model, or as Dyna referred to it, that seed, and then do you communicate that to your agencies for broader media buys?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and sharing it with the brand teams as well to understand who that consumer is that is going to be leveraging this service and what brands are really resonating through a service. Certain brands are more, whether it be a spirit brand or a wine brand or a beer brand, certain ones are going to be more attractive through a service like this. So taking that and then sharing it either with a third-party agency or just internally with stakeholders is how we would leverage this information.
And from the Survata point of view, we actually think that that's a core benefit to the market research and insights teams, because a lot of times insights isn't that, depending on the size of the company, right? If smaller companies, all of that could sit under the CMO with the consumer insights team. Most of the big companies, certainly Constellation brands, but a number of bigger companies, that's a very specialized thing, and they're siloed. So it gets the market research team talking with the media buying team and with the marketers, and really brings everybody together in a collaboration that I actually haven't seen in my market research career. So it's really fun to see that coming together and feel like when you spend a ton of time, you can spend $100,000 on a segmentation study and it kind of floats around and then it never gets activated for all the reasons that Sam explained, right? And so really being able to take it and activate that audience is very meaningful to the insights team. And so we're having a lot of fun with those conversations and being able to kind of bring those two things to life and make it a reality.
It's so fun, all the aha moments that are happening when you're talking to people. It's really a story that resonates.
Yeah, I'd say it's interesting too because the market research side of the business, which is the area that we focus on, that side of the business really focuses on talking to insights people within brands. But our ad measurement team, they're working with agencies. And a lot of times they're having conversations with the agency that supports the same brand that the market research team is talking to. And so it comes together in the middle, right? They're already having this conversation about testing that campaign after that segmentation is created and that audience is found. And so it really brings both pieces together. We can find the audience, we can test the message, then the ad measurement team is actually testing the campaign. And then back over to market research, we're seeing if there's an overall lift in awareness through the brand tracking, right? And so if we think about awareness of people that know about delivery services, that's how we see if that needle is moving over time. Because one individual campaign can be entertaining and do well, but it doesn't necessarily drive overall awareness, or maybe it does. So that's where it comes back and we can see that through the tracker. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. Don't give away all our secrets, Jazz.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a challenge over the past several years. I've been at Survata to reach out to each of these publishers and build custom integrations with each of them. So I think that's something we're going to continue to grow and foster. I think having that personal one-on-one relationship with the publisher keeps them happy and within our network.
We do shorter surveys. So there's there's a conversation that usually has to happen with clients around the size of the survey, the size of the tracker, the size of the segmentation that we can execute on the network. And in general, I think people are really wanting to make shorter surveys. So we've got some tailwinds there. But the motivation to really make it happen when you have to decide, okay, you can only have 3 screener questions or 2 screener questions, the brands are motivated to get there because of all of these other benefits that they get on the network by executing it that way. So that's been cool too. Anyone else? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.